Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and today I'm going to show you how to make challah bread. Okay, so you want to start with a big mixing bowl, 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, 3 tablespoons of honey, 1 cup of warm water, a towel, 3 tablespoons of butter, an egg, a teaspoon of salt, 3 cups of flour, some vegetable oil, another egg, and some poppy seeds. Okay, so we're gonna start with adding the yeast into the mixing bowl. And now we're going to put the 3 tablespoons of honey in, and I like to just put the tablespoon on top of the mixing bowl and do approximately 3 tablespoons. And now we're going to add the warm water and stir everything together so everything's diluted. Now we're going to put the tablecloth on top of the mixing bowl and let it stand for 5 minutes so that the yeast can activate. So while the yeast is activating, it's a good time to start melting your 3 tablespoons of butter. After 5 minutes, you can check on the yeast to make sure it's activated. If it looks like this, that means you can now add the melted butter. After you put your butter in, you can add your egg and salt. And now it's time to stir. So now we're going to add the flour. And this is always a tricky one because you don't know how much you're actually going to need. So I always start off with 3 cups to be safe. And so I'm just going to add some flour. And I just do about measurements, so don't worry about leveling because you will most likely need to pour more flour in later. Okay, so we're gonna stir with a spoon. I like to start off with a spoon. I eventually get to my hands, but just while it's wet, it's nice to not get your hands all sticky because then it's easier to work with the dough and you waste less dough. So now that it's all the flour is used up and it's still sticky, you want to add some more. So I just guesstimate and pour some flour in. So now that it's a big ball, we can now add the oil, and don't want to add too much or too little. You want to be able to cover the whole bowl as well as the ball of dough. Okay, so now we want to place the cloth over top of the bowl and let it stand for about 2 hours. Okay, now that the 2 hours are up and I have beaten my husband at chess, the dough is now risen and we can start rolling out the 3 different sections. So we're going to flour our surface. Smooth it out, make it nice and big. And now we're gonna go over and take the dough and make it into 3 different sections, okay? Because we wanna braid it. And I like to start rolling it out in the air first before I put it on the floured surface. And then once it's rolled out a little, then I get it down here to thin it out more. And you want to roll it so it's a snake that's about 3 inches thick. And you want to make sure they're about the same size. Your balls don't have to be exactly even, but when you roll it out, you can make it so that even if one's a bit thicker, they'll end up being the same length so that the braid won't be too wonky. So now that they're all rolled out, we're gonna place them in a line together, and we're gonna smoosh the top ends all together, and then you just start braiding one over the other. And then when you get to the end, just smush it again. Okay, so now we have a beautifully braided dough, and now we want to put it onto the baking sheet. So just gently grab it underneath. So now it's time to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And then you want to place your towel over top of the dough again and let it rise a little bit more as a braid. And then just wait for the oven to preheat, maybe about half an hour for the dough to rise a little bit more. Okay, so once your oven is preheated and your dough has risen for another half an hour, you want to add your egg glaze and your poppy seeds. So we're going to crack an egg into a bowl. And now we're going to whisk it together. Now we're going to take a spoon and just spoon and spread the egg glaze on top of the braided dough. You can also use a marinade brush if you have one of those. I don't, so I just use a spoon. It's a little bit messier, but it gets the job done. Okay, now what we're gonna do is add the poppy seeds. I just like to add a little sprinkle on top. And now it's ready to go in the oven. And that's how you make challah bread. Enjoy!